Scientists once ran an experiment that sounds almost a little cruel. They went to a busy morning train, full of people with their heads down and their eyes on their phones, and they asked one group of riders to do the single thing every person on that train was quietly avoiding: to talk to a stranger. Now, here's the fascinating part. Almost every one of those riders predicted the very same thing: that it would be awkward, that it would make their morning worse, and almost every single one of them turned out to be wrong. So tonight I want to tell you about the tiny, ordinary thing that science says can quietly lift a lonely day, the thing most of us walk right past a dozen times a day without ever knowing. So stay with me. Let me say this gently, right at the start. If you tend to keep quiet around strangers, if you keep your eyes down at the checkout and your hellos to yourself, nothing is wrong with you. That is not shyness, and it is not a flaw. It is what almost all of us were taught. Don't bother people. Don't be a nuisance. Mind your own business. We absorbed that lesson so deeply that we now walk through whole days surrounded by other human beings, saying nothing to any of them. So if that's been you, you are in very good company. But tonight I want to show you what the science says we've been missing, because it just might brighten your tomorrow. So let me tell you how that train experiment turned out. The researchers, led by a scientist named Nicholas Epley at the University of Chicago, took commuters and split them into groups. One group was asked to strike up a conversation with a stranger. Another was told to keep to themselves, just as they normally would. And then they measured how everyone felt afterward. The result was the opposite of what everybody expected. The people who talked to a stranger had a noticeably happier, more pleasant trip than the ones who sat in silence. They even reported learning something interesting. And remember, every one of them had predicted they'd feel worse. We are, it turns out, surprisingly bad at guessing how good a small connection will feel. And it is not just trains. Another team of researchers studied something we all do: buying a cup of coffee. They found that the people who took a moment for a genuine little exchange with the person behind the counter, a smile, some eye contact, a few friendly words, walked away feeling happier and with a greater sense of belonging than the folks who just rushed through their order. The same small cup of coffee. The only difference was that one of them came with a moment of human warmth. And that warmth, it turns out, is real nourishment. Now, scientists have a name for these little connections. They call them weak ties. Your strong ties are your close ones, your family, your dear old friends. But your weak ties are all the others: the cashier you see each week, the neighbor down the street, the fellow who walks his dog at the same time you do, the woman at the pharmacy, the mail carrier. And here's what the research found that I think is so important. People reported feeling happier and more connected on the days when they had more of these little weak tie moments. Not deep conversations, not best friends, just a scattering of warm, passing hellos. They add up to far more than we ever give them credit for. But here's the trouble, and I think you'll recognize it. We walk right past nearly all of them. Head down, eyes on the phone. We tell ourselves the cashier is too busy, the neighbor isn't interested, the person in the waiting room would rather be left alone. The silence feels safer somehow, so we choose it, over and over, all day long. And in choosing it, we quietly turn down little gift after little gift, dozens of small chances to feel, just for a moment, a bit less alone in the world. And the reason we do it is simple. We are afraid of the awkward. We picture the conversation going wrong, the blank stare, the cold shoulder, the sense that we've intruded. But that's the very thing the science keeps proving backwards. That dreaded awkwardness, the rejection we brace ourselves for, it almost never actually comes. Far more often, the other person is relieved and pleased that somebody finally said something warm. The disaster we're so sure is waiting is mostly just a story our nerves tell us, and it keeps us quiet, in a world that would have smiled right back. And I want to name something for those of you living on your own, because this matters. When you live alone, a whole day can pass without a single real exchange with another living soul. And on a day like that, the few seconds of warmth with the lady at the register or the man walking his dog might just be the only human moment you get. So please don't dismiss those as nothing. They are not nothing. On a quiet day, a single kind exchange can be the thread that pulls you back into the world. It matters far, far more than its size would suggest. Now let me ask you something, and I truly want to know. When was the last time a little chat with a stranger brightened your day, even a tiny bit? The cashier who made you laugh. The person in line who said something kind. Tell me about it down in the comments, and if you can't remember one in a while, say that too. You won't be the only one. Sharing these little moments is its own kind of warmth, and somebody reading yours will smile. And while you are down there, if there is a topic you would like me to talk about, anything at all, leave it for me. I read every single one. Every one. All right. So here's the wonderful thing about all of this. You do not need to go out and find a brand new best friend to feel less alone tomorrow. You just need a few more of these tiny moments, and they are absolutely everywhere, and every last one of them is free. So let me give you a few gentle ways to let more of them in. No pressure, no homework. Try one if it feels right, and leave the rest. We go at your pace here, always. Here is the first, and it is the smallest thing in the world. Just look up and smile. That's the whole beginning of it. When you're at the register, lift your eyes and meet the persons and smile and offer one little friendly line. Not a speech, just, that line moved fast, or I hope you get a break soon, or a simple compliment. That's a lovely scarf. One warm sentence. You will be amazed how often that one small spark catches and lights up both of you for a second. And even when it doesn't, you've lost nothing at all. Here is the second, and it makes the warmth grow over time. Turn the strangers you see often into familiar faces. The same cashier, the same barista, the same neighbor on your morning walk. See them enough times and add one small thing each visit. Learn a name, ask one little question, remember the answer for next time. Bit by bit, a stranger becomes a familiar face, and a familiar face becomes a small, steady source of warmth in your week. These are the weak ties the scientists were talking about, and you can grow a whole little garden of them right in your own neighborhood. Here is the third, and it's the one the train study was all about. Try saying something to the person beside you. In the waiting room at the doctor's, in line at the store, on the bench at the park, in the pew before the service starts, just a simple, friendly opener about whatever is right in front of you. Long wait today, isn't it? Or, that's a beautiful dog. You don't need anything clever. You're not starting a friendship. You're just sharing one warm human moment with someone who is probably craving exactly the same thing and is every bit as shy to start it as you are. Here is the fourth, and I want you to hold on to this one because it changes how the whole thing feels. You are not taking something when you say hello. You are giving something. That kind word of yours might just be the only warm moment in that other person's whole long day. The young cashier on her feet for 9 hours. The widower walking his dog in silence. When you offer a stranger a smile and a friendly line, you are not bothering them. You are brightening them. So go ahead and be the brave one who speaks first. The world has far too few people willing to, and you would make such a good one. And let me hand you the simple truth that sits under all of this. Almost everybody is quietly starved for a little human warmth, and almost everybody is too shy to be the one who starts. So the person who is brave enough to smile first, to say the kind thing first, becomes a little bright spot wherever they go. That can be you. It costs you nothing, and after a whole lifetime of being kind to people, being warm to a stranger is something you already know exactly how to do. And if you've got a dog, well, you already own the finest icebreaker ever invented. Half the conversations of my life started with somebody's dog. So take a breath and notice where this leaves you. You do not have to wait for some grand friendship to arrive to feel more connected. You can weave a few warm little threads into any ordinary afternoon, at the store, on the walk, in the waiting room. And those small threads, gathered up across a day, across a week, quietly stitch you right back into the fabric of the world. That sense of belonging you've been missing isn't only built in big moments. It's built in dozens of tiny ones, the kind that are waiting for you tomorrow if you'll only look up. Now please hear me. You do not have to do any of this today. If the only thing that comes of this video is that tomorrow, at the checkout, you look up and offer one small smile, then this was time more than well spent. Be as gentle and encouraging with yourself as you would be with a dear friend just working up the courage to try. You would never call that friend silly for being nervous. You'd tell them how lovely they are and that anyone would be glad to be on the other end of their hello. So say that to yourself, because every word of it is true. And don't you ever forget, you are wonderfully easy to talk to. You have shared thousands upon thousands of these warm little moments across your long life, with strangers in shops and on porches and in line at the bank. That gift did not fade with the years. It only got richer. The same friendly, open heart that made all those small connections is still right there in your chest, ready the very next time you choose to look up instead of down. So here is what I want you to carry out of tonight, and I mean every single word. You are not alone in a world of strangers. You are surrounded, every single day, by little chances to connect, dozens of them, all free, all waiting. You don't have to wait for the perfect friend to feel a little less lonely. The next bit of warmth could be 5 minutes away, at the register, on the sidewalk, in the chair beside you. All you have to do is look up and offer the first smile. Thank you for spending this time with me, truly. Now go be gentle with that good and friendly heart of yours, and tomorrow maybe just look up. I will be right here, same as always, with a brand new video every Tuesday. Until then, my friend, take good care of yourself.